What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman, aka Allfires. Now, you may have seen some of the headlines either online today or via social media. Yesterday, my buddy Paul over at Heavy Spoilers dropped some things about Avengers Secret Wars and then offered his theory for how he thinks it all ends. Much different than the theory I put forward last week. However, we're going to go over some of those details because they've been corroborated by industry insiders about what to expect on how Marvel Studios wants to craft this finale and what it means for the ultimate inclusion of some of these X-Men in the main MCU continuity when it's all said and done. We're also going to talk about an earlier comment from Marvel that this may look to change the MCU and for good, and what that means for a possible reboot. We're breaking down everything Secret Wars, its endings, and the latest reports of inclusion of Fox X-Men. But first, if you could grab the subscribe button. We do daily Marvel content at the channel, and that's all we do. Everything from official Easter egg breakdowns, trailers, and reviews to the occasional industry insider report and everything in between. So if that sort of thing's for you, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below. That will automatically enter you to win our ongoing PS5 giveaway, which we are right around the corner from. We'll also be announcing 2 winners for our daily comic exclusive variant giveaway from our friends over at Street Level Hero. That's slhla.com. If you want, stick around to the end of the video. We'll announce new winners and get into all the giveaway stuff again there. Now, before Marvel Studios actually confirmed they were doing the title of Secret Wars, the Russo brothers sort of waxed philosophically about how big this film would be, even bigger than Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, and certainly much more ambitious commensurate to that. And if it's not immediately clear how those two things are different, it's already going to be bigger than Avengers Endgame by the sheer number of heroes included, already introduced during Marvel Phase 4, but the ambition comes in making it as good or having as much emotional weight as Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. And while Marvel Studios may find themselves in an endgame of their own, pun totally intended, as there's no way seemingly that the Multiverse saga can live up to the Infinity Saga, I would argue there are still characters like Shang-Chi, Doctor Strange, or maybe the upcoming Reed Richards that can still ground this saga in an emotional conclusion, but more on that specific point later in this video. Now, again, coming from our friend Paul over at Heavy Spoilers, as re-reported by The Direct, talking about, quote, how Feige wants to try to get every major Marvel character in Avengers Secret Wars in some form or another. As he says, quote, there's a number of franchises such as the Fox X-Men universe, Fantastic Four, and so on, and they're aiming to get as many of the heavy hitters as they can. So Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, and so on. They're really trying to nail those down. Now, first and foremost, I would argue they have 4 of the biggest. Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Patrick Stewart as Professor X have all come back now in some form or another in the last 24 months for a film. So again, some of the heaviest hitters have already in some way worked with Marvel Studios. Then there's a whole B tier of characters that you would want to see show up, and it seems as though Marvel Studios is going to have a lot of them under contract soon with the reports of upcoming Deadpool 3. Now, we've already talked about a little bit at the channel their crossover with the already existing MCU TVA, but we know from updates from certain actors that they're coming back, including Colossus from the first 2 films. We know from that actor in a European Comic-Con update where he spoke freely about coming back for the movie. We also had a recent update from the actor who played Shatterstar, who seemed to tease on social media that he would also be returning, which really makes me think likely we'll see another version of the X-Force. The more characters they bring back from the Fox universe and get under contract in certain films, the more likely it is to me that they'll appear in some sort of final scene, again in order to go bigger. When we finally have that huge clash at the end of Secret Wars, something like a portal scene, you may end up seeing a ton more X-Men than you think from previous films. This also helps Marvel Studios navigate that report of not being able to really recast these X-Men till the next phase anyway. But even if they had been able to, there isn't enough real estate in enough films and titles, even if they primarily focused on it, to build out characters like Magneto and build their own X-Men before Secret Wars anyway. And having been a huge fan of both the 1980s and the later 2000 run by Jonathan Hickman, I think the more heroes you work into this, the more named Marvel characters there are in a final battle, the more awesome this will be cinematically and from an actual standpoint of honoring the story. But again, as we mentioned earlier in this video, and I sort of side noted, none of this matters. The ambition is making us care, and for me, none of this will actually hold any value compared to Avengers Endgame if there isn't a Steve Rogers or a Tony Stark to rally behind and get a point of view from. And I think there are several characters in the running right now, as Marvel Studios has gone super wide at the beginning of Marvel Phase 4, that may end up being that character. Something like a Shang-Chi, who will certainly be very prevalent in Avengers Kang Dynasty, or even a character like Captain Marvel, who we're just going to see now in the Marvels, but may play a role in a lot of films going forward, so that we can actually see the evolution of their arc. If we don't have that character or characters to have a very vested standpoint in, Doctor Strange 3 is another example. If they can get that film out and rally around him for an ultimate conclusion, if they don't bring it to the point of an emotional conclusion for character's arc, then just seeing a bunch of X-Men show up at the end is not going to matter. Now, Paul actually put forward about the end that he thinks it's just going to be a replaying of the story already told during Loki Season 1, that the TVA is all explained, that he who remains will always be the guy at the end of the story, uniting it into one timeline and as the circle goes. And what I will say is that would align with rumors that eventually Marvel would do a timeless saga, 2 sagas even from now, Saga 4, where we would see Kang's return, as Marvel Comics recently did in a Marvel comic called Timeless, where Kang showed up at the end of it all. But more interestingly, it sort of recontextualizes, and I'm not sure he knew he was doing this, a separate report we got months ago that Marvel Studios would actually look for something like a reboot at the end of Secret Wars. And when you take the word reboot and not apply it to the blanket MCU, but rather these kind of characters that could show up, ones who have already been established canonically, like Andrew Garfield, who's my age and 39, or someone like Hugh Jackman, who's now 54, Secret Wars would conclude any of these characters showing up now in future films. They would reboot the MCU in the sense that they wouldn't have this multiverse at all. We could focus on stories that were pertaining to our 1616. They could also reboot these characters. We would have our own 616 Wolverine. We'd have our own, maybe even new Deadpool at some point. These actors won't play these characters forever. And while some of them will persist, and maybe Deadpool's a bad example, because I could also see Sam Wilson's Falcon in the future of the MCU, I think there is a point where you permanently retire some of these characters. And that's why specifically I left Tony Stark on the thumbnail for this video, because this is going to be the chance, if you have ever played a Marvel character ever, and Marvel Studios has any interest in you coming back, this is your last chance to do it, because after Secret Wars, they're not going to do a multiverse for a while. At least temporarily, they'll close the book on that, so they can reboot the MCU, do a brand new X-Men, brand new casted characters, brand new stories, and yes, there will be characters that last over, who go forward in the reboot. I imagine Sam Wilson's Falcon will still be on the table. Anthony Mackie probably still has plenty of movies forward as Captain America, but for other characters that they choose to reboot, that also opens the door from them doing a brand new Tony Stark or Iron Man of some kind, and a whole bunch of other stories that are 616 centric, not focused on multiversal versions. Eventually, if you want there to be some value in those stories, you can't always have a multiverse of infinity options, well, until you get to the next saga where the multiverse opens up again. And so is the Marvel Universe of comics, and so perhaps goes the MCU. But guys, let me know all your thoughts in response to any and all of this, especially as Secret Wars goes. It's crazy that we're already talking this in depth about that film, at least from an objective standpoint about what can and can't happen 4 years before it comes out. Literally, it's fall of 2022. We were going to see this movie in the spring of 2026 and probably have about 1,000 Secret Wars between all of us in the YouTube community videos coming in those 4 years. But hey, Marvel didn't have to tell us they were coming. They were the ones who already told us, so here we are. Let me know all your thoughts down below. Quickly, let's get into the giveaway stuff and announce some brand new winners. Okay, so we are still giving away a PlayStation 5 at 1 million subscribers, which if you haven't subscribed yet, I invite you to do so, because I am trying to give another one away. I'm also so close to 1 million subscribers. Literally, we are right around the corner. I suspect we will be very close to hitting that by year's end. So make sure to hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below. Also, during December, every single day, we're giving away exclusive comic variants from our buddies at Street Level Hero and That Spidey booth. Today's comics are The Trial of Magneto #1 and this Wolverine exclusive variant with Gambit on the front, Wolverine #17. Absolutely insane. And the winners are Mage TV, you won the Magneto comic. Michael Apata, you won the Wolverine comic. For these comments here, guys, please message me on Instagram at IamFires. Go ahead and DM me there or email me at my business email. It's under the About section of the channel. I'll go ahead and verify you guys and send these comics right out. Guys, if you want to be entered to win for the daily giveaway, the PlayStation, any of the same rules apply. All you got to do, be a subscriber, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below because it's truly random. The more videos you comment on, the better chance you have of winning. All winners will be announced at the end of videos, the same way we're doing here, never in the comments. So please steer clear of spammers on my channel or any other. The best way to keep up with the content has always been to hit the notification bell with all notifications turned on. And as always, if you like today's video, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit the like button. My name's Michael Roman. You can find me in a couple of places, Instagram and Twitter at IamFires. You can also find me on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Apple, iTunes under the name AllFires. And while I sincerely appreciate you checking my music out, thanks for checking this channel out. Stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.